It's week 1, day 3. We're back again with some more European action. We've got Barrage up against XL as our first game today. Barrage did manage to find the split against Rival after a very hard-fought contest between those two teams. XL seemed to struggle a little bit, I want to say, up against Excellence.
They did struggle, but they had a distinct strategy. The last time they played, they had the area of effect composition with the hi-rez, the Ares, the Raijin. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. It was too late game for them, where the other team kind of had better single target abilities, but we'll see if they can fix things the next game.
And Barrage, very, very good. Well, realistically, it's team fights, I want to say a little bit more on that. So actually, objective focus coming out from Barrage is very, very strong. However, team fights a little bit on the weaker side, so we'll have to see how that one works out for them too, going into this game. I mean, if they can correct some of the issues they had in the team fights up against Rival, they could potentially squeak the 2-0 quite easily here, I want to say.
And going against XL, the way they're more of a passive defensive team, they like to drag the game on pretty long. It's going to be interesting to see if Barrage can capitalize on that.
Let's go and pick some bans then and see how Barrage versus XL game 1 will be. Barrage will be first pick, first ban, and I expect to see the likes of potentially Guan, Kwang being the bans coming out here.
More than likely going to be some aggressive warrior bans, the Thors potentially, the Guan Yu. Guan Yu is always very annoying to deal with in every stage of the game, honestly, especially when it gets to the late game when the heals are just so important, and then the late game, the cavalry charge always diving your backline is just obnoxious.
Difficult to deal with Barrage. With their first option at the moment, it's going to be the Zeus ban away to begin with. And normally with Zeus off the table, you normally see Raijin and Scylla are the top 3 mages in the console scene.
A lot of bursty mages. There's also the mobility with the Giannis if that's the route that you want to take, and to complement that with the Athena, the Thor as well, if you want to add an Apollo or Neith in that area as well. There's a lot of options for both teams currently.
Well, so far they've banned Zeus and Kwang, and both those have a 100% win record. Someone that's not doing so well on the win record, though, is Sol. Very safe god, though, for the most part. Disapparate gets her in and out of combat with good effect.
As long as you time the Disapparate very efficiently, right before a lot of the action happens, you can get out of combat whenever you need to, and being very careful. Athena going to get taken off the table, so no global presence in that regard.
Does leave Raijin and Scylla up, though, so which will Barrage look for themselves? I expect it to be the Raijin here, the most hotly contested mid laner we've seen, but we have seen teams before opt for the Scylla over it.
If Raijin and Scylla are open, I'm more inclined to see an early Thor pick in this scenario, because then whatever gets taken by XL, Barrage can pick up the other as long as they have the Thor.
It's a good call, a bit of jungle control available for Barrage here, but it will be the Raijin locked in here. 0% win ratio, though, considering it's been picked and banned pretty much every single game. Having a 0% win ratio is saying a lot about that god in the console scene right now. XL then, with the option, will they look for the jungler or the support here are the 2 major focal points that you generally see from these teams.
You're going to have to figure out a way to focus the Raijin in the mid to late stages of the game. If I'm XL here, I'm thinking about a strategy where my support and soul laner are working together to dive that Raijin in team fights.
Dive him in the back line, make sure he doesn't use the Drums of War aggressively. But we mentioned Guan Yu and he didn't get banned, so does end up getting picked up. Could go over to Kaajee there in the solo lane, or we'll see if it goes over to Rawski in the support role.
The one game that he was played, he did win the game. Guan Yu going to be very efficient in terms of diving the backline with a cavalry charge. So as soon as it gets to the late game, the Guan Yu has some tank items online. It's going to be a very easy target.
Thor also picked up for them as well. And there's that jungle control you talked about. XL setting themselves up nicely here for people that can definitely get to the backline and get to that Raijin early.
Very safe Thor pick in the situation. You're setting yourself up for a beautiful mid pick. The Tectonic Rift can poke out the Raijin from a safe distance with the hammer on top, and then whatever mage you throw on top of that, whether it's the Giannis, the Scylla, even a Ra in this situation wouldn't be a bad idea. Double healing for XL.
Well, it's response time for Barrage now, and they get the opportunity to pick up 2 more before it goes back to XL before the counterban phase here. With Raijin already locked in, they're probably looking towards a jungler before the counterban stage hits.
You want to more than likely set up a very aggressive composition if you're Barrage having the Raijin. In this situation, it wouldn't be a bad idea picking up maybe a Bacchus and a Nemesis, trying to go for a kind of an all-in strategy, especially when you're against a composition that has a Guan Yu in it. The longer the team fight for XL, the more favorable it is, so therefore taking Guan Yu out of the fight immediately would favor Barrage.
And with XL going for this very backline composition with Guan Yu, Thor looking for the Raijin more than likely, the Khepri pick up here by Barrage, very, very smart, be able to get to that backline and actually defend and help support him in times of need, and I think that's also why we see the Geb immediately in response from XL.
You have one passive support on Barrage, you're going to counter that with another passive support for XL. You have 2 aggressive gods out of the Guan Yu and the Thor, so you have to have somebody in the backline for XL to peel, and no better Guardian than Geb to fit that situation.
Well, I was going to say Barrage here, they need to find a solo laner for Watson, and look at the comp the Barrage have drafted here. They really need some engagement on this roster. They've only really got Khepri here for the initial engagements, and I love the Hades ban coming out from XL. focusing Watson at the same time is something that could really be frontline and engage for them.
If you're thinking of being a very aggressive initiator jungler for Barrage, not going to be looking for the Fenrir because of the get pick to counter the shield. More than likely, you could look for a Naja. That could be a very good aggressive composition. You could also go for a Thanatos, just trying to get somebody low enough with the Raijin Drums of War, with the Thanatos, Death Side Deuce doing a lot of damage. Could find the Execute as well.
See how that works out. Still a banned out by Barrage, which is kind of smart, focus on the mages and mid lane. I expect another mage focus potentially coming out here, unless they're worried about something from the solo lane that we could end up seeing Kaajee play. But it will be Giannis as well, so taking a lot of the mages off the table here, Barrage. A lot of focus going on to hi-rez from XL.
It would have been interesting to see if XL banned out Odin just so that they can pick up the Raw coming up next. That would have protected the Raw really nicely, not having to worry about a solo lane Odin or even a jungler Odin in that situation. Nuwa going to be picked for XL. It's going to be very easy for the Nuwa to complement any sort of global pressure that the Thor has.
Very true. Very safe as well, this god. Once she hits level 5 with that fire shards available to her to get her out of combat and away from the danger zone, it will help her out. But Odin was left up, and Watson's had that band against him a lot so far this season already, but I think we're going to see him go back to that again over in the solo lane. Up against Guan, a good matchup there. Against Geb as well. Very, very effective at keeping them pinned in. And Nuwa, even with fire shards, she can't escape the ring.
Exactly. The mechanic does not allow her to go over the walls, including the Kraken ultimate, so that's very important that Barrage recognize that picking the Odin not only to counter the Guan Yu in the earlier stages of the game, but transitioning that into the mid to late stages against the Nuwa.
I actually think that might be prOxyQQ on that Odin in the jungle now, with the Chronos being locked in as well. Very high composition of damage coming out from Barrage. They need self-peel, and they kind of have it with the rewind from Chronos as well as Apollo and the Thunder Crash from Raijin. They're going to rely a lot on Odin to really set them up here. Barrage, Xbalanque is the final pick for XL.
This could be interesting for Barrage. We don't really know where the solo lane is going to be. It could be Apollo against the Guan Yu, could be Chronos, it could be Raijin as well. All three of those gods have a way to stop the Guan Yu Taolu assault. And
it will be the Chronos over in the solo lane played by Watson here. Odin in the jungle played by Proxy, who started Power Potion alongside his teammate here, Elexum, on the Raijin. And same can be said for XL. Fudge and hi-rez both going for the Power Potion starts as well.
It's going to favor more Barrage in the earlier stages of the game. Odin with level 2 Power Potion is going to be doing a lot of damage with that Bird Bomb, and was going to stop the back from Watson.
Caught in the lazy back. And he also knows he's got hammer there as well. You saw him actually take the hammer at the beginning there. So clearing the jungle a little bit lower, just a touch, I'd say, at the beginning of this game. But with Power Potion in tow, he should be okay as he does head back to base there. Fudge at the beginning of this one. But there is a potential for a bit of an invade here. Onto an Odin Chronos at the start of the game. There is kill potential for a Guan Yu Thor.
And Barrage have to recognize that, so more than likely they should be looking to start their blue buff, because a Chronos without blue buff is really difficult to handle. And there's a lot of situations where XL could abuse that, where they do speed to blue, blue to blue, mid-harpies to blue, just to try to focus out on that Chronos, not wanting him to transition safely in the mid to late game.
Well, they're not going to go for the invade here, XL. Maybe that's something to do with Fudge being forced into taking the hammer potentially there at the beginning of this game. They're on the blue buff, both teams as well, and you can see Barrage made it there just a little bit quicker. It's taking him a little bit more time now compared to XL, and we'll see where the junglers end up going here, whether it's straight to lane, which it seems to be.
And right now, everything else is pretty standard in terms of the middle and the dual lane as well. Barrage are going to be able to clear the solo lane right here, and they should be able to transition this into the Fire Giant Imps.
Well, Proxy took a lot of free poke there, but he is a jungler after all, so he will get some sustain from that Bomber's Mask. And Elexum, very fast rotation over here from him to make sure he soaks those up. Proxy will get some heals as well as his health potion there, and now be able to rotate for the right on Harpies as well. But we do see Fudge now making the rotation from Solo and the Thor as well, so just keep an eye on him and see if he goes for a cheeky steal. Not going to be able to find it, unfortunately.
Going to be too late right now. The Nuwa's going to be able to clear the mid wave right now as Barrage go back to the mid lane. Thor can play a little bit aggressive here if he so chooses to. And it looks like the mid Harpies should go 1-for-1 unless Barrage are going to play aggressive right now, which they should.
They do have an Odin, and they do have the Raijin with power potions as well. XL have to respect that Nuwa early game. Not as strong as you'd like it to be. We will see a fight over these left Harpies. Nobody else involved. Clay Minion is out and going to fight the mid Harpies here. And it looks like we're going to see both teams just elect to go back to farming mid. Worried about losing him. Oh, that's low.
Xbalanque just barely able to get it back into his tier 1 tower right there. That would have been a really clutch first blood in that situation, especially in the dual lane position whenever your hunter is the one getting the first blood. That's going to allow him to snowball a lot. Left side mid Harpies are being contested, however.
They are at the moment, and I'm not sure which way they went. By the looks of it, Proxy and Elexum are level 4, so he probably did go their ways. They head back towards the mid lane, so a bit of an advantage here. And Proxy gone for the blink for the Odin as well, for the extra initiation. And I like the fact they have taken Odin jungle here, just because they needed some front line. They needed someone to be aggressive during the early stages especially, and that Odin will allow them to do that.
And not only that, despite not getting a play earlier on, it's not going to hurt him in this situation because his mechanic of his Odin ultimate is going to be good for team fights against the Guan Yu and against the Nuwa Geb combination. So you want to play aggressive, but it's not the end of the world if you don't find anything early.
Look at this rotation, looking for Kaajee in the solo lane here. Both of them coming over from the mid lane. Obviously, Odin does have his ultimate, as does Alex, and this could potentially be a free kill, but Kaajee hasn't smelt this out yet. Only level 4. He knows something's up, but just by his positioning, something's giving the game away here.
He's level 4 right now. He doesn't want to come anywhere close to the lane. Even the Chronos can play aggressive in the 1v1 situation. Guan Yu having to Talu assault the wave, Chronos can easily stun him out of it, depending on the positioning of both those targets.
And that worked out pretty well for Barrage because you saw Proxy soaked up some of the solo lane experience, and meanwhile Elexum got the fire imps to make it worthwhile for the rotation there too. Did lose a couple of minions in mid lane, but they won't be too upset about that right now. You can actually see Fudge at the moment on that Thor still only level 4.
Still only level 4, now hitting level 5, so he's going to be able to get out of the Odin cage if the ultimate is now. Looks like Khepri going to have to run away, Kaajee.
Yeah, Kaajee's under a lot of pressure from Watson here, and he's got to be very careful as he is out of mana, and Proxy was looking at a rotation, but instead, he's looking for the speed buff of XL, knowing the solo lane is not going to be here. It's up to Fudge and hi-rez to try and defend this one, and it's Elexum taking the brunt of focus from Fudge at the moment as the speed buff is secured by the looks of it. hi-rez is going to get the drums of war off nastily onto his face, and now he's had to take the fire shots to try and get away from this, but Proxy's here, and there's a ring and the thunder crash, but Thor comes crashing down at the same time. Fudge may be able to return the damage onto Elexum.
And then we have a rotation from Watson as well. Guan Yu rotated to the solo lane with his teleport. Does have boots available to him. Geb going to go do the Cataclysm.
But in response, Oz there with a fantastic ult himself. It's buying Proxy time to get away, but Fudge timed it perfectly with a double tap to bring down Proxy's life 2-1 in favor of XL. They did lose their speed buff in that engagement though, and I believe First Blood went the way of Barrage as well, so for all intensive purposes, it is a lead for Barrage.
And they're going to have to capitalize on this if XL, with that one pick, the speed buff and the blue buff are available to be taken away for Barrage, so XL needs to regroup and figure out a way to exploit that after taking these right side mid Harpies.
Good note, they didn't really notice the speed buff was available potentially to take away. They're not going to find it now because already Proxy heading back to the jungle. They will, however, find the right hand Harpies here, XL, and left one's due to spawn relatively soon as well, roughly about 30 seconds time. So we'll see a contest over those, but with 3 members there from XL, it should be good. As we tune into the dual lane, Jeron having a pretty easy time of things here at the moment up against the Xbalanque.
Playing very aggressive right now. He was thinking about an opportunity to find the So Beautiful through the creep wave and on top of the Xbalanque, but unfortunately for him, the Xbalanque disengaged just perfectly in time.
Left Harpies do go the way of Barrage, who get themselves back in time, continuing to extend that gold lead. Now they're going to find their own red buffers. Jeron helping out with Elexum there to pick that one up as well. So all good stuff for Barrage at the moment. And they're going to be quite content at this stage because their early game, not necessarily the best thing until they get us a full 5-man unit.
No, not going to be the best early on, but right now the Apollo, he's able to clear out the wave right now, and if he wants to, he could potentially look around the corner for those boars on the top side.
If he knows they're available, he could swing around there. Now going to head towards the Gold Fury area, check and see if the balls were being done by Xbalanque. He realizes Xbalanque's not there, so he's going to head back to base. Drizzle was actually in lane just farming up the next wave. He's both working towards those Warrior Tabby, both tier 2 boots at the moment for the Hunters.
And right now, the Apollo has a little bit of a goal lead the way the early game happened. The Khepri allowing the push to be a little bit better than the Geb earlier on, so Apollo taking advantage.
Double tap does connect there from Fudge onto Elexum, but no real panic from either team. Obviously, with all sat in the wings there, you could definitely peeled if required. And Fudge didn't want to overcommit there, so just continuing to farm up. And right-hand side, Watson doing a great job of pinning down Kaajee under the tower all the time with this Guan Yu.
And the way XL is playing this is similar to the last set against Excellence, where they were just playing very careful and patient in the earlier stages of the game, but they always have to take into consideration the late game damage potential coming out of the Chronos and the Raijin, so they always have to watch out for that.
We've got a rotation over to the left-hand side pretty heavily there, actually, looking at the Gold Fury area from XL. I think they were looking for a potential gank here onto Jeron, but he sniffed something out. There was no wall coverage down for him, but he had an idea something was up when the calls came out from mid. Elexum keeps eating those double taps. He's just going to be a little bit more careful about his positioning, but as a Raijin, you kind of have to get quite close to that because of Storm to make sure you can clear the wave.
I like the idea behind just poking, not teleporting to the hammer to find the Berserker Barrage combination. Guan, you taking a lot of poke damage during that stun time rift combination.
And the best thing about this is that stun that he's finding is during the Tele Assault, just removing the amount of damage that can come out there. Watson having a good time of things over in the solo lane so far. What do you expect to see? What do you expect to see come out of Kaajee here in terms of build?
Right now, he has to figure out a way to not die in the earlier stages of the game. He's going to get outpushed simply because he can't get in a position to clear the way with his Talu Assault. Oh, Geb Cataclysm not connecting on that Khepri.
Not going to connect, and trying to find Khepri is a difficult task because he will revive and it will allow his team to come in there for the cleanup potentially, especially with a Raijin and an Odin with the ring. But go back to Kaajee again, and we expecting a lot of magical protection here up against, you know, potentially the Raijin and the Chronos in the solo lane.
We see him building into it right away. He could be looking more for the Pestilence. There is going to be a little bit of healing from the Apollo and the Chronos as the game progresses, so that could be one area that he explores, unless he wants to go into the super mid to late game where he's going to go for the Bulwark of Hope.
Well, no Go Fury is looked at yet by either team. Barrage, very, very objective focus for the most part, this team, I would say, and we saw that in the set that they played up against Rival yesterday. Left Harpies are being looked at by both teams here. Last ones went the way of Barrage, but this time XL in position as Fudge is taking a bit of free poke, trying to create a zone for his team there, and it looks like they will go the way of XL.
XL pick up the left side mid. Harpies rights are down currently as well. Barrage definitely want to try to force something with this Odin Raijin combination. The blink is available whenever he wants to use it. It looks like he was thinking about it in the mid lane, but just going to use the shield to clear the wave.
And good mention about that. Proxy's not really used that blink so far. He's been very patient with it. He's held on to it for the most part. He's had plenty of opportunities to at least just throw the ring down. It's on a short cooldown as well to look for the opportunities just to ring people in and force a little bit of poke, but very patient and calculated so far.
Right now, if I'm Barrage, I'm thinking to myself, like, we have such an aggressive composition. We need to figure out a way to use this. If I'm clearing the midway first before XL is, we need to force something, or at least force the wave under the tower. You could blink ulti as Odin, have the Raijin follow up potentially, and then Odin could jump out whenever he needs to. There's no Willish to pull him back in.
Or just showing his presence over in the duo lane there, making sure Drizzle knows exactly that the support will be rotating at opportune moments while there's downtime in the mid-late time area. Blink online, though, for Geb as well, which we've not really mentioned here. He is looking for the aggressive option of Geb. Normally, we sometimes see wait till level 12 for the second relic to come online here, but it's going to be a big focus instead onto the blink and actually look for the engagements early.
It could be something where he's also rotating. He's trying to alleviate some of the pressure from the duo lane, and as he's rotating there and he comes back to the mid lane, he could use that blink to counter-engage in a team fight. Whenever Odin comes in and the Geb straddles behind a little bit, he can counter-engage very efficiently, especially catching up to the Odin jump.
So from what we've seen of these two teams so far, XL, you saw them yesterday and you felt like they're very counter-initiated, they wait, they're patient with this. But Rog, they seem to be initiators. They seem to be the ones that are objective-minded as well. Is this playing into a certain team's favor, this matchup here? Is it in favor of Barrage or XL with the compositions and the style of players?
It's going to be dependent if Barrage can find the objectives. So far, they stole the speed buff. Now they steal the boards. These are the two offensive objectives that they've stolen away from XL. And it's going to be very dependent on how XL adapts to that and takes advantage. Barrage, if they're able to contest this goal here, this could be good for XL.
Rawski's here, blinks, initiates very, very early on just to slow them down, but the ring is down and Rawski's trapped inside. The drums are focused onto him, but they miss a lot of the damage. Rawski's still alive in the ring, just doing what he can. Now the support turns up from XL. Berserker Barrage connects from Fudge, but he immediately gets mezzed out by the Apollo, and it's a reset as the Gore Fury did go down, and it did go the way of Barrage.
And it looks like it
Oh, no, I lie. It went the way of XL. XL stole that one away.
They stole, I believe the Thor was able to dunk down just at the last second and steal that kill. So a very good comeback. We mentioned how Barrage needs to be the initiators and XL needs to find the opportunity to take advantage of that, and that's exactly what happened at Goal Fury. Despite the Blink Cataclysm being a little bit too early, it was still efficient in terms of disrupting the enemy. So
and team fights from Barrage yesterday looked to be a little bit skeptical. He made a couple of mistakes during those team fights. Kind of shows here as well. They focused on the Geb, didn't find the pick on him either, and actually allowed XL to swing in, steal the Goal Fury, and XL will be happy with that. They got the gold and managed to get out clean without losing a life themselves.
That was really important that they didn't lose anybody, because Barrage could have easily capitalized on getting maybe a tier 1 tower either on the mid or the dual lane side right now. Apollo thinking about playing aggressive. He was level 12 right now compared to the Xbalanque, who is level 12 as well.
Over to the solo lane again, and Kaajee just having to weave, duck, dodge, dip, and dive away from Watson's in-hands coming out over and over again. Trying to keep up in terms of form. Actually has a bit of a level lead over Watson there. Not by much, but that's because of some of the rotations. You can see the gold difference between the two. Even with a Gold Fury, Watson's ahead in gold.
And Watson playing this aggressively against the Guan Yu should throw some red flags in there for the Thor to try to lean more towards the soul lane side. You don't want a Chronos to be this aggressive and go unchecked and unpunished. You have to capitalize on that opportunity.
Well, keep an eye on that because XL now have that opportunity with the Golf Fury being down. They don't need the jungler on that side of the map for control there. Talk about control, Barrage looking into the enemy jungle here at the red buff, looking to see if they can steal it away. Double tap off the mark there from Fudge, but Barrage, 4 members in the mid lane now. Apollo over on the side of the map as well. I guess he was looking for the red buff invade too.
It's possible that he was looking for that, and it's very safe to go into the mid lane if there was a team fight to break out. You could always use the ultimate of Apollo to go back into the dual lane side of things, so there's no issue there. Guan Yu was thinking about playing aggressive there, but with prOxyQQ doing his own speed, he's going to think otherwise.
Yeah, Watson will be swinging around for the experience from speed and then pick up his blue buff with his jungler as well. Kaajee, though, should be able to find his own blue buff on his own there before any sort of invasion comes out for Barrage. And the longer this game goes, I'm looking at Watson on a Chronos and Apollo in the duo lane. Yes, they've got a Xbalanque, but I feel hyper carry is definitely in favor of Barrage as we go to later stages.
You always have to worry about those hyper carries. Barrage has the Chronos and the Raijin available to him. There's going to be engage on the soul lane. Double stun into a bird bomb. Fudge going to have to teleport out. Can Watson find the time rift?
Not going to find the time rift, though, but they will get some free poke on this tower now. Fudge can't really stay around here. That's why you can actually see Rawski rotating in on the Geb as well for the extra support. But the tower continuing to be chipped away at, and Or turns up as well in the other support. And it looks like they're going to continue applying a little bit more pressure here, Barrage.
Fudge needs to find the right opportunity to use his ultimate as the Chronos is playing aggressive, not just walking into the lane, but making his presence known from the skies around the fire giant pit.
And for now, Watson just going to walk away, knowing there's still 2 there, but a rotation coming out from Barrage, trying to potentially find someone on a rotation here, and they're actually going to ring in Rawski. Proxy was on point with the ring. The drums of war are sounding from Elexum. 2 shots of that'll be enough to clean up that Geb, and that ties the score at 2-2 in terms of kills.
Geb, having Breastplate of Valor, does have no magical defense or health to deal with the Raijin ultimate, just doing so much damage right there.
Proxy's going to go straight to mid lane. Just look at this pressure onto hi-rez here. He doesn't have ring available, but he's not really worried about it. Lower mana, though, is Proxy, but he doesn't allow his team to set up to look for the pick on Fudge. They find his purification, and the leap over the wall with the last of his mana is good from Proxy to secure another kill in Barrage's favor.
So much damage coming out of Proxy. Having the Jotun's Wrath after the Warrior Tabby, we don't normally see this kind of a style out of the utility-style jungler supports, especially the Odin, but I like it. That damage was just too much for XL to handle.
Well, this is Odin's peak, though, right? I mean, Odin peaks at this sort of stage of the game. He's got his Bird Bomb maxed to success, and with the extra damage coming out from the Jotuns, great rotation from Or, though. Going to find a very good abduct onto the Guan Yu and actually force out Cavalry Charge, which is going to allow Watson some more tower pressure.
Also forces out the Bulwark of Hope. The teleport is up in about 15 seconds, so this tower is definitely going down. Tier 2, not going to be aggressed on, though. Just going to get the wave right now and probably going to back and reset, finish up that Fatalis.
I think that's one thing XL should have looked at a little bit earlier. Focus the Chronos, she mentioned it, but he didn't even have teleport in this lane either. He started with Purification at the beginning of the game, hasn't been pressured, now got a fully stacked Doom Orb online as well as a Wingblade, working on some penetration next as well just to add to that, and he's starting to run away with it in that solo lane.
Wingblade is going to be a really good picker for the Chronos, wants to have a lot of mobility and negate any sort of slows that goes into his favor right now. The Guan Yu having the slow, Nuwa could potentially find that. We do have an engage.
Proxy rings and he gets 2 trapped inside. They're looking for the Geb again. Shields himself, gets the Cataclysm off, but it's a defensive one, and the Thunder Crash is good from Elexum. Now you see the fire shots forced out from hi-rez as in the sky is Fudge. Will he come landing?
Going to come landing, but not connecting onto anybody right now. Going to get stunned out and time rift right there. Beautiful rotation from Watson as we do have Kaajee coming in, but there's nothing to clean up for him.
Apollo is in the sky right now. Jeron swinging around looking for a potential meal deal, but he's not going to find one. What he will find, though, is the Golf Fury has respawned here. He's going to start this one up, and with 2 members dead on the side of XL, it's going to be a very difficult ask for them to defend. Keep an eye and see if Kaajee comes over on the Guan Yu with a Cavalry Charge potentially, but no. He's heading back to Sol, and he's going to be too late to get here. Can they contest and steal? Let's find out. Golf Fury goes the way of Barrage.
And with that, 5 members stand strong for Barrage, not losing anybody in response. This is their game right now in their hands. They have to figure out a way now to use this gold and look for these tier 1 towers as the soul lane fell before. Now Watson, he can freely rotate towards the middle, towards the dual lane, especially when you have Apollo and Chronos pushing together. Those towers are just going to melt.
Real focus onto Geb as well at the start of this, but it started to work out. The very first time they tried to focus the Geb down, they lost the Golf Fury because of it, but these engagements beforehand, before the objective were even looked at, finding the Geb, forcing his Cataclysm, and everybody else has to play defensive because they just can't get into the ring.
The timer currently for XL to take advantage of this Chronos has kind of faded right now, so it's going to be very difficult. The damage is going to be too strong for them to handle. And going back off of the left-hand side, the dual lane, the Apollo, he's going to be looking to kind of join with the Chronos eventually towards the middle stages of the game.
Well, speed buff picked up for Proxy one more time. Raijin in the mid lane, played by Elexum there. Obsidian Shard is now online for him as well. After a Bancroft's Talon, we've seen a lot more of Bancroft's Talon just lately, Tolly.
It's a good idea to pick up the Bancroft's Talon if you're expecting to take a lot of damage. It does give you extra magical power depending on how much % of health you are missing. So gods like Freya, Hades, Anubis, sometimes like that, those gods specifically benefit, but it's not unrealistic to just pick those gods with it.
Yeah, I mean, with a Raijin as well, when you're in the Taiko drums, your ultimate, you do get a lot of free poke because everyone will try and dive you. And when you're doing that, it just increases the damage that you're going to put out with those drums.
Or you could dash in, take the damage, force them to do damage to you, and then just go into your ultimate form.
We'll talk about forcing damage. Watson pressuring this the solo lane one more time with the tier 2 proxy over there as well, just showing his face. As over on the duo side of things, you can see the pressure coming out there from Drizzi with that minion wave. Tried to put pressure on Jeron, but no real panic from him whatsoever as a speed buff is stolen by Barrage.
That was a beautiful mess. Engage onto Proxy, going to get knocked up, stunned. Cataclysm forcing him there. Sanctuary being used. Taiko drums are used as well. Not going to find many targets, however. Taking a little bit of poke, but he should be fine.
Yeah, drums over the wall from Elexum there. I like the idea just to try and create a bit of a zone, bit of space to allow Proxy out, but he did have to use his Sanctuary in that too. So Blink Sanctuary in line for the Odin. So Proxy going for this very engage and then bait style of play with the Odin.
Watson forced the Purification under the Nuwa as he's getting chased down by Kaajee, forcing the Rewind and the Nuwa ultimate. We have a 1v1 box on the dual lane side and middle of team fight right now.
And Watson did get a cooldown reset. Hadis not going to get pulled. Instead, it was Kaajee who took the shot for him, but Fudge is in the sky now and Sprint is popped. And immediately he dunks onto 3. Berserker Barrage didn't do too much damage though. And Elexum Thunder crashes to Hadis in the back.
And that's a beautiful pickoff right now as the rest of Barrage are going to play aggressive. Watson not finding the stun onto Guan, but does find it on Thor, poking him out, forcing him to hammer away. And now Barrage are aggressing towards the tier 1 tower as the Apollo regroups.
And not only that, Apollo joins them for the tier 1 tower. Drizzle now making the rotation from base, but he's going to be there too late to help defend. And Blink from Proxy's on point, trapping in 2, looking for Xbalanque. The cavalry charges there as, you can also see Rawski jumped in there with the blink as well, looking for a Cataclysm and to zone, but everyone's still standing for XL other than Hadis who dropped earlier.
No sustain coming to the line for Barrage, so they're going to have to disengage right now as Kaajee is available to find more sustain for the rest of his team. It makes it a lot easier to defend the longer the team fight lasts. Barrage more of a bursty composition with the Raijin, with the Odin. XL more long, drawn-out engages with the Geb and the Guan Yu.
Very, very true. 6-2 is the scoreline now. Gold lead of around 5,000 gold, I should say, in favor of Barrage here. 7,000 experience as well at 18 minutes. Things are looking pretty comfortable for Barrage, but look at those player damage charts. 14,500. And that's basically a ranged character versus a melee character in the solo lane.
Pretty much. Always finding the opportunity to poke out the Guan Yu in the earlier stages of the game, abusing the fact that the stun stops the lane clear of the Guan Yu, forcing the Guan Yu back to base constantly, getting the tier 1 tower as a result, and looking at the second player damage, it's the Raijin right now, so there's a lot of magical damage coming online for Barrage.
Pretty good from Barrage, though, to recognize, they were going to give up Guan Yu. They baited the Guan Yu pick to an extent because they had a counter waiting for it in the Chronos to go up against it, and you can see the influence it's making in the game so far. Kaajee, 0-0-0, hasn't really had much of an impact so far, 1,100 gold down, and look at his player damage, he's not been able to do anything.
It's not going to be able to do anything. They had 3 counters, honestly, to the Guan Yu, whether it was the Apollo Mez,
Odin,
the Raijin Mez as well. Oh, the Odin 4, actually. So, yeah,
so
you could have went Odin as well in the solo lane specifically.
Teleport forced out here by Kaajee to the left-hand side, but Proxy's on the back, going to ring in too, and just keep them pinned there. Kaajee, with that teleport, he's going to be able to defend the tower. No minion wave coming in yet, but everybody's starting to group on this left-hand side, expecting a fight, especially in time for the Gold Fury to spawn.
Meanwhile, Watson in the mid lane just going to push that out, forcing 2 people to respond, and Watson is going to be able to call that out, and it's going to allow the rest of his team to play aggressive in the dual lane or look for a flanking opportunity on the top side.
They are looking for a flank in the mid lane. You can see Fudge being forced away there, and under the tower sits Hadis. Not much you can do about their Harpies being invaded on the backside there. There's nothing else in the jungle for them to steal, but Barrage, with control of this side of the jungle here, they can head back towards the Gold Fury and try and force XL into a fight.
They have the timer of the Gold Fury, and while they're waiting, Watson going to just basically be clearing, always be clearing. You have to look for the farm, especially when you're a late game hyper carry such as Chronos.
And that Fudge has just gone and picked up his speed buff, but he needs to get back over to this side. But Fudge is actually going back to base right now. And it looks like XL are just giving this one up. They should have an idea, with nobody showing on the map, that the Gold Fury is being done.
Nobody was in position. Thor was taking his speed buff earlier on. Gold Fury going to the favor of Barrage. Nothing in response. Khepri finding the pull onto the Geb.
And it's a great little pull onto Geb too, and now prOxy's round the side, might be able to find Rawski, but prOxy was looking in the other direction towards hi-rez there. They get the Gold Fury, they don't find much more, but I'm very surprised XL just surrendered the Gold Fury for free, basically.
And that's simply their style. They need to find the counter-engage, but if you're not in position to counter-engage and you're giving up these objectives, then you're asking to lose everything, and eventually you're going to be losing your Phoenixes and then your Titan.
And Gold League goes up again, and still 3 members from Barrage on this left-hand side. Watson returns from base, probably heading back towards the solo side, and prOxy will go to his speed. Elexum has got the Obsidian Shard, as we mentioned, working towards more than likely here Rod of Tahuti as he heads back to base and continues working on that. No, it's going to be Chronos Pendant.
Going to have more cooldowns available to him, allowing him to sort of follow up off of the Odin initiation, off of the Khepri pulls as well, just wanting to spam those abilities. It's going to be interesting to see how aggressive he's actually going to be playing with this Bancroft's Talon.
He has been pretty aggressive with the Thunder Crashes, though. Not been scared to go in amongst 2 or 3 people, potentially. I think he's working out the ability cooldowns very, very nicely. And it's one of the things you have to do as a mage sometimes if you want to play aggressive, know what's still available to counter you.
If you can trade 1 for 1 and then force a lot of abilities on you, that'll allow your team to clean up anyway. So it's not a bad idea for Elexum to do this kind of a style, as long as your team is relatively close to your positioning, especially when you have late game hyper carries as Apollo and the Chronos, where if you can find 1 kill and you damage the rest of the enemy team, then you can trust those 2 gods to clean up.
A lot of pressure on the left-hand side coming out from prOxy. Now they've got wall coverage, and they're looking for a pick here onto Drizzle. The tower is below half health, but recognizing there's issues on this left-hand side does Drizzle, especially with the wall coverage down, and prOxy's going to find that ward as well. Actually, I don't think they were in range to see that ward. Unfortunately, it was just a normal, but all still pressuring Drizzle, knowing that he's down, and prOxy's round the back to ring him in. But Jeron doing the smart thing here and focusing on the objective as Drizzle still trapped in the ring. Now gets support coming out from Rawski and the shield too, but the drums of war have been sounded, and it's a good Cataclysm comes out from Rawski to slow them down a little bit. So far, though, Barrage will be happy with getting the tower for no deaths.
A lot of relics were used as well. The sprint was used. Thor around the corner. He's thinking about finding the right timing and opportunity to initiate. The Apollo did a good job there, just pounding on the tier 1 tower, doing what he does best. That's objective control. You have the audacity, you have to use it to your advantage, and you position yourself for tier 2.
And there's the engage with the cavalry charge coming out from Kaajee, trying to make something happen. Fudge takes to the sky as well as Rawski in the backside tries to peel for his teammates. The Thor ult is available and ready to donkey hits for Berserker Barrage on the map, but there's so little damage coming out. So much sustain and peel coming out from Barrage to keep themselves going. prOxy still on the front side, now focusing. Rawski's getting it ever so low. He survives the burst just about of Watson, but he has to bravely roll away.
And now the Apollo is a little bit low, so he has to be very careful. His Sanctuary is down as well. Is leading the charge right now. Can he find the plug to set up the rest of his team? Watson poking the tower. Going to get caught by the Tectonic Rip. Khepri ult is going to save him, however.
No, but they're not going to burst him. Khepri solo. Watson does finally get popped at the last second there by the Clay minion of all things. Took the kill and forced the rewind, the actual reset, I should say, out from the Khepri ultimate. So Barrage, I thought they were biting off a little bit too much there. They were really desperate for that tier 2. They don't find it, but they did get out scot-free.
And they got the tier 2 tower to about 10 to 20% health right now, so anytime they want to, the Apollo or the Chronos can easily backdoor that.
Keep an eye on that for now, because, yeah, with Apollo especially, Apollo can just walk in there and ult away if he needs to. Doesn't really need the minions from that stage. At the moment, Apollo's build just finished off the Wind Demon there. Has Jeron, and meanwhile Drizzle, well, he's going for the similar sort of build here. No Wind Demon coming online for him. It looks like he's going for the penetration option with a Titan's Bane coming up after the Chin Sights.
And looking at Watson with the Rada Tahuti online already after the Obsidian Shard, he's going to be doing a lot of damage right now. So once these team fights start happening around the Fire Giant, if anyone gets plucked by the Khepri right now, it's just going to be very troublesome for XL.
Very troublesome indeed. 25 minutes in, right harpies go down. Speed buff is available for Barrage to take, and Barrage actually heading around to the right-hand side here, looking to see if the enemy jungle's up right now. Is XL? Well, they just sat at their tier 2 towers for the most part. They can't go very deep in the jungle right now.
They have no wards right now, and that's why the new ultimate was used just for the vision, just to make sure that the Fire Giant wasn't being started by Barrage.
Right-hand side, Kaajee. Bit of pain here. Potential for him with prOxy and Elexum turning up too, but XL are here to respond, and Kaajee's going to engage very, very early on. Cavalry charge connects with Elexum, but there the ring is down. The drums have been sounded, and the burst damage onto Drizzle's face was just too much. prOxy credit for the kill. Elexum still trying to get away from Fudge, avoids the double tap and keeps himself up. Now Watson is going to look for Fudge, knowing he's got no escape from this at the moment, but doesn't manage to land enough of the enhance, has to rewind into a dangerous position. Meanwhile at the back, prOxy is running down and will find hi-rez for a double kill as Jeron, well, he's going to take a Phoenix.
And now he's going to go up into the air trying to regroup for this team fight right now. Thor's hammer is down, so that's going to be the primary target. Does miss, however.
He does miss, and there's a blinking from Proxy as well to help out. They will pick up Fudge with minions here. They can look for the tier 2 tower on right, and Jeron just going to return to the jungle. Jeron did the right thing there. He got all the objectives he needed and still turned up for the fight.
Barrage played that team fight 4v5 with Apollo split pushing on the left-hand side. They're able to find not only 3 kills, they found the left side Phoenix as well. They're just spreading themselves all over the map. And it was basically Excel that was the ones that forced the fight because of the Apollo split push. Kaajee tried to do something in the backline, forced the Raijin to ulti early on. However, the Odin and the Raijin together was just doing too much damage in the backline for Excel.
Not just the kills though, you saw a tier 2 tower, a Phoenix, another tier 2 tower, and then the left-hand jungle stripped of the red buff and back harpies. Meanwhile, Proxy took away the blue buff on the right-hand side. A lot of lost golden experience for Excel.
Excel more than likely should have banned the Odin during the 3rd and 4th pick banning phases. The Guan Yu, the way he initiated that team fight, didn't allow him to go back in and heal anybody that was inside that Odin cage. He had the meditation available to him. He had his sustain, but when you're going to force a Raijin out, now you don't have a secondary peeling part of your kit, which is very important in those long, drawn-out team fights.
Very true. Can we go to the healing done here, by any chance? I want to see how Kaajee's been doing so far. He has got 14,000 healing, which isn't too bad, but you'd hope for a little bit more, I guess, in these team fights. He's just not had the opportunity with the Odin rings, making such an influence in this game.
Especially with the meditation as well. You're negating 2 sources of healing with the Odin right now, and that could have been easily negated with that ban. Guan Yu still going to be a big factor to deal with right now. Whenever you could dive the backline with a cavalry charge, as long as you don't get Odin cage off, you can force that Raijin ultimate. You can force the Chronos rewind as well.
Well, Excel look to the Fire Giant just then as Golf Fury went the way of Barrage here. What it was being done at the moment, and they're just trying to get their own speed buff, which they're not going to find just yet. Proxy looking at Rawski, going to try and force him to roll out, and he does do so. But now they'll take a consolation prize in the speed buff that Excel aren't even confident right now to even look at themselves.
Space and map control going into the favor of Barrage, taking the speed buff and the tier 2 right-hand tower at the same time. Meanwhile, Xbalanque has to defend on the left-hand side, which gives an advantage for Barrage, maybe forcing this Fire Giant 5v4.
And here is the Fire Giant star by the looks of it. All members of Barrage are here. Reinforcements are coming from XL though, from 2 different angles. And who's on peel duty? Well, it will be Proxy. He'll be the leader for this. He notices Hadis on the left-hand side. Fire shards come down, but he's not seeing the right. There's the cavalry charge coming in. The Fire Giant goes the way of Barrage, however, as the drums of war are sounding from Elexum. He gets some good poke off onto Rawski. 3 members still in the ring, and Hadis will fall to the bird bomb of Proxy.
And with that first victim, Guan Yu is going to get chased down as well. Khepri finding the plug, but nobody to follow up. Watson taking out the Kaajee right now. Hammer away as well as Purification, not able to get away. Apollo's in the sky, going to look for the Xbalanque in the back.
Yeah, because Drizzi was trying to turn around the back and find a cleanup kill, but instead he's been forced to retreat. And there's a surrender vote coming out there from XL. I can understand it. 12-2 is the scoreline. They just lost the Fire Giant and 3 members. Well, the next Phoenixes were next on the list.
They were going to lose the Xbalanque before those Phoenixes as well. So really wonderfully played by Barrage. XL, unfortunately, just a little bit too slow in their pace of game. They did a good job with that first Gold Fury, but giving up that second Gold Fury for free in that situation was kind of the beginning of their downfall.
Beginning of the end for them in that game. So you think the Odin ban needed to be the big focal point? Because they've picked a lot after that as well that just was like, well, Odin's great here. Let's just pick him up.
They picked Nuwa 4th, and then the Odin was immediately picked after that. Guan Yu was countered, the Nuwa was countered as well, Xbalanque was countered, so it was a situation.
Well. Like, there was so many gods that Odin did so well against in that game and really shut down. See if they do it for game 2 as well.